The Sabrent Rocket 1TB is one of the first models to be available on the market, and it is priced accordingly. The 1TB rocket model featured in this review has a price of around $130 or euros, which is $20 cheaper than the advertised manufacturer's recommended price. This places the Sabrent Rocket 1TB at $13 per gigabyte, which is quite nice, especially in today's market. The rocket is available in several storage capacities, starting with 256GB, 512, 1TB, 2TB, and a whopping 4TB. In addition to that, this SSD is backed up by a 5-year warranty. First of all, if there's one thing to note about Sabrent SSDs is the presentation. This SSD is delivered in a metal-made case that has a hard foam interior, which will not only hold the SSD in place, but also protect it during shipping. The design of this SSD is simple and falls into place with the aesthetic language used by Sabrent. The SSD has a dark blue PCB, which is lovely, and also has a label at the front which is black and blue. The Sabrent Rocket 1TB has a standard 2280 form factor, which means that the SSD has a length of 80mm and a width of 22mm, and that makes it compatible with all M.2 sockets found on the market. Speaking of the label, this is not just a simple label, as it has a layer of copper on its underside. Thus, it will act like a small heatsink and passively cool the components of the SSD. While this might not make like a 10-degree difference, even if it does 1 degree, it should be enough. Once the label is removed, we have a good look at the main components of the SSD, and the Sabrent Rocket 1TB uses the Sabrent RKT303 controller, which has the model number PHSBT RKT303. This controller is in fact a Phison-made controller, the Phison E12S controller to be exact. Rebranding of the controller is nothing new, and Sabrent has done this before. The Rocket Q SSDs are a good example of that. Moving on with this smaller Phison branded chip, which is in fact the voltage regulator module, or VRM for short, for the controller. This little guy will help with the voltage modulation and thus deliver a better power to the controller. The memory chips used with this SSD are made by Kioxia, formerly known as Toshiba. These memory chips have the model number TABBG65AWV. These are BCS4 96-layer 3D TLC NAND memory chips. Speaking of the memory chips, keep in mind that I have seen this exact SSD using Micron-made chips instead, so why or when this change was made is yet to be determined. The SSD also has a total of 512 MB of fast DRAM storage available, and the chip used is made by Kingston. This chip is a DDR3 512 MB unit and runs from the factory at 1866 MHz. Now that we've figured out what makes this SSD work, it's time for the installation, and installing an M.2 SSD is one of the easiest things you can do, as it involves just one screw, sometimes even no screw at all. First of all, you insert the SSD into the correct M.2 socket on your motherboard. Then you press on the backside and then secure the SSD with the included screw. In my case, there's no screw as the motherboard has its own clamping system. We start our testing of the SSD with a basic file copy test. We basically place a folder which has a total size of around 92 GB, and then we make a copy of that folder on the drive. And as you can see here, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB has a speed of around 1 GB per second of file transfer and writing. However, once the cache is filled up, then the speed will drop to half, all the way down to 500 MB per second. This is typical behavior for a pseudo SLC cache, so nothing wrong here. However, the size of the cache is under 20 GB it seems, and that is a bit disappointing. The first synthetic benchmark used to test the SSD is Crystal Disk Mark 8. This software is the go-to benchmark for storage device testing, as it offers an easy to understand result and it is also portable and easy on your system. And in this test, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB is right behind the Sabrent Rocket Q 2TB SSD, in both the reading testing and the writing testing, which is great. The next test is the AutoDisk benchmark, a test that delivers great results while also using multiple storage sizes for testing the SSD. And in this test, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB is again right behind the Sabrent Rocket Q 2TB. This is the case for the read testing. However, for the write, well, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB is further behind the Rocket Q and behind the crucial P5 1TB. The final test is using the video game Shadow of the Tomb Raider to measure the performance of the SSD. The way this is done is very simple. We just log in the time the game needs to load a complete level on each drive, and that time is the level of the performance in this particular test. The game is running in DirectX 12 mode and in 1080p, with all the graphical settings turned to their maximum value and vertical synchronization disabled. And in this test, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB is again, as expected, right behind the Rocket Q 2TB, with a game level loading time of 20 seconds from start to finish. When it comes to temperatures, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB did quite well. When running a synthetic benchmark, the SSD did heat up to 70 degrees Celsius, with an ambient temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. However, when using the SSD with a game, well, then the Rocket 1TB only reached 67 degrees Celsius with the same ambient temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. Overall, a solid performance for this drive. The Sabrent Rocket 1TB is a good NVMe SSD. The price to performance ratio is great and the components used are very good. There are, however, some unanswered questions regarding the components, as some of these SSDs have micro memory chips while others, like the one in this review, use Kioxia-Toshiba chips. It's not a great deal, but it's something to keep in mind. In terms of the performance, the Rocket 1TB is really good, and it's right behind or equal to the Rocket Q in most tests. The cache used with this drive is working, but it's rather small, and when it's filled up, then the speed is cut to half, up until the file transfer is complete and the cache is emptied, then it's business as usual. The thermal performance is also good. However, sustained large file writing will eventually lead to the SSD entering into the thermal throttling status, and then the speed will drop again to almost half. However, this will not happen that easy, not unless large file transfers are being done on a regular basis. With a price of around $130 or euros, the Sabrent Rocket 1TB is a good SSD that delivers what it promises, a good performance to price ratio. Not only that, but this SSD is also backed up by a 5-year warranty and uses good quality components that should last a long time. If you like this review, then you might consider subscribing for more. And also, if you want to support this channel in a direct way, then in the description below you will find both the links for the Patreon and the subscriber star pages.